Good morning, boys. I hope you're well. I hope you had a nice weekend. We're continuing through chapter 15 in your textbook, and that's called The Last Things. So the book doesn't really say it clearly, but I want you to know, what are the last things? When we Catholics talk about the last things, what are they? Well, they are four: death, judgment, heaven, and hell. In that order. We die, we're judged, our eternal consequences, heaven or hell. Those are the four final stages of human life into the afterlife. Let's begin with the prayer, shall we? Almighty God, in this fifth week of Eastertide, we recall the truth that you rose from the dead, triumphant over death, so that you could bring us life. You showed us what death and resurrection are all about in your own flesh. Help us to long for and await that day when you will raise our mortal bodies to newness of life. John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever. Well, I want to tell you, first of all, I enjoyed reading your assignments from last Tuesday, I think it was, a long time ago, particularly seeing all your goals, the things you hope for, hope to accomplish in this life. It was a good read. One thing I wanted to point out where some of you fell a little short. Some of you seem to be stuck about what it means to have a happy death. Okay? It does not mean that we have led a full, complete, fulfilling life before we die. Okay? Some of you, I think, went into that philosophy called Epicureanism, where the motto is, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. That's not what a happy death is all about. Because look, if you packed everything in that you wanted to do in life, whether it's skydiving or deep sea fishing or a around the world cruise, if that's all there is and you die, what good is it? It's not like you're going to take those thoughts or those memories with you if there's no such thing as an afterlife. What it means instead is life should be lived in order to fulfill the things that God has called us to do in this life, so that when we're ready to die, we don't have to worry about anything in the future. Some people put it pretty well, though, in your answers. Sustak said this for number one on that as homework assignment. He says, all we do in our lives should lead up to answer the question, am I happy and ready to leave this earth? And you're not going to be happy to leave the earth if there's all these fun things you want to do and you pack them all in, because you're just going to want to do more, right? So Sustak says, these choices should make us the best versions of ourselves for the judgment of the Lord. Beautifully said. Antonio Cordero says, everything you do on earth is a small thing compared to your life after earth. That's what we Christians believe. That's how we need to live. Jimmy Gaffney and a few others put as one of their 5 goals in life simply to go to heaven. I hope that each one of us Christians finds that to be our principal goal. And then Brandon Madigan put it very beautifully. He says, in comparison to our eternal lives in heaven, our earthly lives are just a flash, just a flash. This flash may be a trial run for heaven, he writes. Our choices that we make now impact God's final decision on our souls. For this reason, when I sin, I ask for God's mercy, so that one day I may make it to heaven. There's that idea of getting to heaven again. Well said. The word of the day today is you, Y-O-U. Why is that the word of the day? Well, 2 reasons. One is, in your assignment, some of you have taken to putting the letter U for you. You're not writing me a text message. You're completing a school assignment, so you should use the pronoun Y-O-U. That's the word of the day. And secondly, the word you is important because it reminds us of what Jesus did for you. He died just the way we all die, although a more horrible, ignominious death, and he rose from the dead, body and soul, just as you and I will do on the last day. We know this will happen because it happened to Jesus. He has firsthand knowledge of the resurrection of the dead. Okay? So a couple of points to go over with you. What happens when we die? Well, we Christians believe that at the moment of our death, body and soul are separated. Our soul leaves the body. Our body returns to the earth. It rots. It returns to the elements from which it came, while our soul goes to meet God and then waits to be reunited with our risen body on the last day. How will that happen? It's a bit of a mystery, right? It's sort of like those tulips that are blooming in my backyard these days, right? Who would believe that something brown and wrinkly and ugly that you put into the cold, dark earth would burst forth to make something so beautiful? It's a mystery to us. Second point that I wanted to mention to you is, why is there a resurrection of the body? Why don't we just go on as our souls? Because that's kind of the focus or the center of our being, it would seem. Well, the reason there's a resurrection of the body, again, is Jesus. In Jesus' life, in his incarnation, God took on flesh, a body, in order to redeem mankind. So we're not dualists. We don't say, oh, well, the soul is the good part of us and the noble part of us, and the body is kind of less important or earthy and physical and maybe kind of dirty and smelly. No. We believe that our spirit is good and our body is good, not inferior. So God doesn't just save our spirit, he saves us body and soul. And on the last day, when Christ comes again in glory, the parousia, the second coming, God will remake all creation. He will raise you and me up in the flesh, body and soul, in our own element, the way we're used to experiencing existence. The next point is this: what do Catholics mean by judgment? Well, two things. One is the final judgment at the parousia that I just spoke about earlier, right? But there's also for us Christians a particular judgment, sometimes also called personal judgment. And this judgment takes place at the moment of our death. When a person dies, it's a moment of truth. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is repressed any longer about us. God and we see ourselves exactly as we are, before God's tribunal, where we have the chance at that last moment to make all things right. So let's see, what else did I want to tell you? I guess that's about it, and I've already talked for almost 8 minutes. And so I encourage you to review the sections of your book that are entitled The Resurrection of the Dead and the Final Judgment, the first few pages of your book, as well as the sidelines entitled Pray It and Did You Know, that's about martyrdom. Okay, study those several pages, and then answer the questions that you'll find in the assignment below. I hope things are going well for you. I hope you're happy and healthy and well. I look forward to the day of seeing you at Central Catholic in person. In the meantime, keep the faith, stay close to God. As Brother Tony says, pray every day, and remember this too shall pass. God bless you one and all. See you soon.